Vibration testing of every single body shell? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you learned something new today, smash that like button and share this video with a fellow car enthusiast who needs to see this. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss when we drop our next deep dive into how the world's greatest machines are made. Until next time, keep chasing excellence, one detail at a time. What if I told you that one of the fastest cars on the planet is built slower than a family minivan? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're stepping inside one of the most secretive and fascinating car factories in the world, Nissan's Tochigi plant in Japan, where they build the legendary GT-R. This isn't your typical assembly line. This is where Japanese master craftsmen called Takumi spend hours, sometimes an entire day, building a single engine by hand. No robots, no shortcuts, just pure human precision. And here's the crazy part. This deliberate, almost painfully slow approach produces one of the fastest production cars ever made. A car that humiliated supercars costing 3 times as much. A car that earned the nickname Godzilla for absolutely destroying everything in its path. So buckle up, because we're about to pull back the curtain on how Godzilla is truly born. Section 1, the Tochigi plant, an integrated mega factory. About 60 miles north of Tokyo sits the Nissan Motor Tochigi plant, and this is no ordinary factory. Unlike most modern car plants that specialize in one part of production, Tochigi is what Nissan calls an integrated production factory. That means everything from casting iron and aluminum components to the final assembly of the complete vehicle happens right here under one roof. Now, here's the thing that makes this place special. Tochigi doesn't build economy cars or crossovers. This plant focuses exclusively on Nissan's most premium vehicles. We're talking full-size luxury sedans like the Kima and Skyline, as well as the crown jewel, the GT-R. The plant also builds several Infiniti models, including the Q45 and the G37, which share the production line with the GT-R. That might sound unusual, luxury sedans and a track-focused supercar on the same line, but it actually speaks to the level of craftsmanship that goes into every vehicle produced here. Think about that for a second. While other factories are pumping out thousands of vehicles a day on fully automated lines, Tochigi takes a completely different approach. They've chosen quality over quantity, craftsmanship over speed, and that philosophy shows in every single GT-R that rolls off the line. But before we get to the car itself, we need to talk about where the magic really begins. And that's not here at Tochigi. That journey starts about 100 miles away at Nissan's Yokohama engine plant. And what happens inside that plant? Well, it's something you won't see anywhere else in the automotive world. Section 2, the clean room where legends are born. Deep within Nissan's massive Yokohama engine facility, there's a room that most visitors never see. This is the same plant that produced legendary engines from GT-R history, including the S20 that powered the original Hakosuka GT-R and the iconic RB26 twin-turbo that made the R32, R33, and R34 generations famous. While the main factory churns out 900 engines every single day using robotic arms and automated systems, there's a separate space, a climate-controlled, humidity-regulated chamber that operates by a completely different set of rules. They call it the clean room, and inside there are no robots, no assembly lines, just a handful of men in pristine white coats working in near silence. These aren't ordinary factory workers, they're Takumi, a Japanese word meaning master craftsman. In Japan, becoming a Takumi is one of the highest honors a skilled worker can achieve. It takes years of training and demonstrated mastery before a worker can even be considered for this elite role. And at Nissan, only a select few, typically 4 to 5 individuals at any given time, are certified to build the GT-R's legendary VR38DE engine. Let me give you some context. These men have a combined experience of over 100 years at Nissan. Names like Takumi Kurosawa, Izumi Shioya, Nobumitsu Gozu, and Tsunemi Oyama have become legends in the automotive world. Hiroyuki Ichikawa alone has built over 6,500 GT-R engines during his 35-year career at Nissan. That's roughly 1/6 of all R35 engines ever produced. And here's what makes this truly remarkable. Each engine, every single VR38DETT that powers a GT-R, is assembled from start to finish by one person. One Takumi, one engine. No exceptions. So how long does it take to build an engine this way? The answer might surprise you. Section 3. 370 steps, one craftsman. Building a GT-R engine by hand takes anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, depending on the specific variant and the level of inspection required. That's roughly 200 minutes of focused, methodical work involving over 370 individual steps. To put that in perspective, a typical mass-produced engine rolls off an automated line in under an hour. But the VR38DETT? It's a completely different animal. The process begins when a prepped engine block enters the clean room. The Takumi places it on a specialized rig and then moves around the room, station by station, as each phase of assembly requires different tools and techniques. The environment is meticulously controlled, air pressure is regulated, dust particles are monitored, and even the tools are specially designed for this specific purpose. Here's something most people don't know. Instead of using standard air-powered tools found in regular factories, the Takumi use electric nut runners. Why? Because air tools create compressed air discharge, which can introduce microscopic dust particles into the engine. Electric tools eliminate that contamination risk entirely. Plus, they're more precise, crucial when you're building an engine that will produce over 500 horsepower. And precision isn't just important here, it's everything. Every single bolt, every nut, every critical fastener is tightened to an exact torque specification. And here's the kicker. Every torque reading is electronically recorded and stored in a database. That data stays linked to each specific engine for its entire lifetime. If something ever goes wrong years down the road, Nissan can trace it back to the exact assembly process. But what about the components themselves? How do you achieve surgical level precision with metal parts? Section 4. Surgical precision, pistons, crankshafts, and heat. The VR38DETT produces 565 horsepower at 6,800 RPM and 467 pound-feet of torque at 3,300 RPM in standard form, and up to 600 horses and 481 pound-feet in Nismo trim. To handle that kind of power reliably, every internal component must fit together with microscopic precision. Take the pistons, for example. The Takumi actually heat the pistons on a specialized plate before assembly. Why? Because heating the metal causes it to expand just enough to slip the wrist pins into position. Then, as the pistons cool, they contract and lock everything into place with a fit so tight you couldn't achieve it any other way. It's essentially a thermal press fit that creates zero tolerance. The crankshaft assembly follows a similar philosophy. Each bearing clearance is measured and documented. The connecting rods are balanced to within a fraction of a gram. We're talking half a gram differences that most manufacturers would never bother with. Even the valve clearances, which on most modern cars are set by machine, are adjusted entirely by hand on the GT-R engine. The Takumi measure, tighten, and measure again until everything is perfect. And it's not just the rotating assembly. The twin IHI turbochargers are integrated by hand, with the exhaust manifold and turbo housing combined into single units for optimal exhaust flow. The intake plenum is carefully designed and installed to ensure each of the 6 cylinders receives a perfectly balanced air charge. When you hear that a GT-R engine is hand-built, this is what it actually means. It's not a marketing gimmick. It's hundreds of individual decisions made by a single craftsman who has spent decades mastering their trade. So what happens when the engine is finally complete? Does it just get shipped out? Not even close. Section 5. Testing before it leaves. The dynamometer. Before any VR38DETT engine leaves the Yokohama plant, it must prove itself. Every single unit is mounted on a bench dynamometer for a series of power and torque tests. But that's not all. Each engine also goes through a 60-minute break-in cycle right there on the dyno. This isn't optional, it's mandatory. Nissan runs every engine through a carefully calibrated procedure that includes a no-load firing run, followed by full-load power testing. The goal is to ensure that when a customer turns the key for the first time, their engine is ready to perform exactly as it should. No break-in period required from the owner. Once the engine passes all tests, the Takumi performs one final act. He mounts a small metal plate onto the engine block, a plate that bears his personal signature. This isn't just tradition, it's accountability, it's pride. It's a craftsman literally putting his name on his work, knowing that GT-R owners around the world will see it when they open their hoods. And then, carefully packaged and protected, the engine begins its journey to Tochigi, where it will finally meet its body. But getting the engine into the car, that's only the beginning of the GT-R's birth. Section 6. The Drivetrain Engineering Brilliance. When that hand-built engine arrives at Tochigi, it's paired with an equally impressive transmission, the GR6 dual-clutch unit developed exclusively for the GT-R. Now here's where things get interesting from an engineering standpoint. Unlike traditional sports cars where the transmission sits directly behind the engine, the GT-R uses what Nissan calls a premium midship layout. The dual-clutch transmission, transfer case, and rear differential are all combined into a single transaxle mounted at the rear of the car. This was actually a world first when the R35 debuted in 2007, an independent rear transaxle with all-wheel drive. The benefit? Near-perfect 54-46 front-to-rear weight distribution. That's crucial for a car that weighs nearly 4,000 pounds and produces this much power. The GR6 transmission itself is a masterpiece. Those dual clutches, featuring Borg-Warner components, can execute gear changes in less than half a second in normal mode and just 0.2 of a second in the aggressive R mode. That's faster than you can blink. Connecting the front-mounted engine to that rear transaxle is a carbon composite drive shaft, lightweight and incredibly rigid. And managing all of that power? The legendary Atessa ETS Pro all-wheel drive system, which samples data from its sensors 100 times per second to continuously optimize torque distribution between the front and rear wheels. Under hard acceleration or when the system detects wheel slip, it can send power wherever it's needed most. Now, with the engine and drivetrain sorted, it's time to put it all together, but even that process defies convention. Section 7. Body Assembly, Vibration Signatures and Hand Tuning. The GT-R's body is constructed using a hybrid approach: steel, die-cast aluminum, and on Nismo models, extensive carbon fiber components, including the hood, fenders, roof, and trunk lid. The carbon fiber roof alone uses a world-first manufacturing technique combining pre-preg compression molding with a lightweight hard foam sandwich structure. This combination delivers both exceptional strength and significant weight reduction while lowering the center of gravity. But here's something unique to the GT-R production line. After every body shell is welded and assembled, it undergoes vibration signature testing. Workers literally shake each body and record its vibration pattern. That signature tells the technicians if any welds are improper or if any components are missing. Most factories might do this random quality check on 1 or 2 bodies per day. At Tochigi, every single GT-R body gets tested, and that data isn't just used for quality control. The craftsmen use it to continuously improve the welding and construction process over time. The bodies then receive extensive hand tuning and sanding to ensure perfect surface quality. During assembly, specially molded protective covers shield the painted surfaces from scratches, because on a 6-figure sports car, perfection isn't optional, it's expected. With the structure complete, it's time to bring the GT-R to life. And the interior? It's just as meticulously crafted as everything else. Section 8. Interior, premium materials, handcrafted details. Step inside a GT-R and you're surrounded by materials that would be at home in vehicles costing twice as much. The dashboard pad is created from a single, hand-selected Napa leather hide, not pieces stitched together. one continuous piece of premium leather wrapping the entire surface. The hand stitching throughout the cabin follows patterns that require skilled upholsterers to execute with precision. Depending on the trim level, you'll find semi-aniline leather in stunning colors like red amber, high gray, Sora blue, and the T-Spec exclusive Mori green with gold stitching. The T-Spec also features a quilted Alcantara headliner, the same premium material used in supercars costing $500,000. Carbon fiber interior accents, machined aluminum bezels with subtle etching to enhance their feel, and on Black Edition and Track Edition models, genuine Recaro sports seats add to the racing-inspired atmosphere. Every touchpoint has been considered, every material chosen for both durability and sensory experience. This isn't just a driver's car, it's a handcrafted cockpit designed for those who appreciate the finer details. But none of this matters if the car doesn't perform. So what happens before a GT-R meets its new owner? Section 9. Testing, the track that surrounds the factory. Once assembly is complete, every single GT-R faces a gauntlet of tests that most production cars never experience. First, each car is driven onto a rolling road dynamometer inside the factory, where it's run up to speeds of around 75 miles per hour. Technicians verify that everything – engine, transmission, electronics, all-wheel drive system, and the Bilstein Damptronic electronic suspension – is functioning correctly. But that's just the beginning. Wrapped around the Tochigi factory grounds is a dedicated high-speed test track. One by one, GT-Rs are driven out onto this circuit for real-world validation. And this isn't a gentle cruise. Test drivers line up the cars, accelerate hard through the gears, and then perform aggressive braking maneuvers with the throttle still applied. This beds in the massive Brembo brakes and calibrates the dual-clutch transmission's clutch engagement. After these runs, the cars return to the factory for final clutch adjustments and tolerance checks. Then comes the quality control line, a brightly lit inspection area where workers examine every inch of the body under powerful lights, searching for even the smallest paint imperfection or panel misalignment. The interior, engine bay, and trunk are all scrutinized. Door operation, hood fit, trunk closure, everything is checked and documented. And the results of this obsessive attention to detail. Performance numbers that shock the entire automotive world. Section 10, the Legend's performance. When the R35 GT-R debuted in 2007, it wasn't just fast, it was a world beater that embarrassed supercars costing 3 times as much. The standard GT-R rockets from 0 to 60 in just 2.9 seconds in its most aggressive forms. The quarter mile disappears in about 11 seconds flat at over 125 miles per hour. Top speed exceeds 194 miles per hour. But the number that truly shook the automotive world came from the Nürburgring, the legendary German circuit known as the Green Hell. The GT-R Nismo completed a lap in just 7 minutes and 8 seconds, making it faster around that iconic track than the Porsche 918 Spyder, the Ferrari 488 GTB, the Corvette ZR1, the Dodge Viper ACR, and countless other exotic supercars. And remember, this performance comes from a car with a starting price of around $121,000 for the premium model. Even the top-tier Nismo at roughly $221,000 DC costs a fraction of the European exotics it regularly defeats on track. So what does it take to own a piece of this hand-built legend? And what does the future hold? Section 11, End of an Era, the final GT-R. After an incredible 18-year production run, the longest of any GT-R generation in history, the R35 finally reached the end of the line in 2025. The last car off the assembly line was a premium edition T-Spec painted in the iconic midnight purple, a fitting tribute to the GT-R legacy. Over those 18 years, Nissan built approximately 48,000 R35 GT-Rs, each one powered by a hand-built engine. Each one tested on that factory track, each one carrying the signature of a Takumi master craftsman. When the R35 debuted, it produced 473 horsepower. By the end of its run, the Nismo variant was pushing 600 horses. Yet the fundamental formula never changed. One man, one engine. Hand-built precision, no compromises. The GT-R proved that in an age of automation and efficiency, there's still a place for human craftsmanship. It proved that a Japanese supercar could compete with and beat the best from Germany and Italy. And it proved that sometimes building something slower is the only way to make it truly fast. Section 12, what makes the GT-R special? You know, there's something poetic about the GT-R's production philosophy. In a world obsessed with speed and efficiency, Nissan chose to slow down. They chose to trust human hands over robotic arms. They chose to let craftsmen sign their work and take personal responsibility for the engines they build. Every GT-R on the road represents hundreds of individual decisions made by skilled artisans. The way the pistons were heated and cooled, the exact torque applied to each bolt, the precise balance of every rotating component. These aren't things you can rush, and maybe that's the real lesson here. The GT-R isn't just a fast car. It's a testament to what happens when you refuse to cut corners. When you value craft over convenience. When you're willing to take 3 times longer to build something right. So the next time you see a GT-R blast past you on the highway, remember, that car wasn't just assembled. It was crafted by hand, by masters, one at a time. All right, everyone, I want to know, what surprised you most about how the GT-R is made? Was it the one-man, one-engine philosophy? The 60-minute dyno break-in? The